Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Depends on where you are in the world. Where we are is live from FDIC in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I've got a colorful group with us today. And I think you all know who I am. I'm Bill Gustin from Miami-Dade, the oldest man in the room. And then to my right, and we're going to move the camera over just a moment, but before that, let's thank our sponsor, Key. That's keyhose.com. The reason that their hose is so outstanding is the amount of research and development that goes into their hose. The other thing is they're great listeners, and they have folks working for that company that came from busy fire companies that saw a lot of fire. So they listen to the fire service, and they have veteran firefighters working for them, constantly striving to develop new hose. It used to be, for instance, for standpipes, you only had two choices of hose, 1.5 inches, or 1 3/4 inches, I should say, and 2.5 inches. Thanks to companies like Key, and they're not the only good fire hose company, but thanks to the fire hose industry, we now have a variety of choices of hose for standpipe operations. But it's up to each individual department to do their homework. So I'm with Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, and then to my right is, if you'll introduce yourself, sir.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. It's Mike Posner. I'm actually a retired captain from Miami-Dade, 30 years on the job, and I'm honored to be sitting next to my mentor and coming to you from FDIC.
And then to this fella to my left, this handsome guy right here, my dear friend. Could you introduce yourself? Tell us about a little bit about where you're from.
Okay, g'day. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. My name's Rick Allen. In the CFA in Melbourne, I'm part of our special operations. But I'm here on a study tour of the world. In the States, and FDIC is my first stop, and I'm looking at cancer exposures and reducing it for us, making it safer for you and I on the fire ground.
Excellent, excellent. And then Murray and Clark.
Hey, I'm Murray Anderson. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. Again, travelling with Rick on his study tour. I'm a volunteer firefighter with Dandenong Fire Brigade.
Clark Lamping, Clark County Fire Department, Truck 11, Engine 11. I'm here at FDIC this week to keep an eye on Murray. Apparently he gets in a lot of trouble, so my job is to follow him around and get him out of jail.
And Jason.
Yeah, Jason Hoevelmann here with the Florissant Valley Fire Protection District, and glad to be at FDIC and to sit here with all these guys.
All right, so what we're going to cover today is what did we teach at FDIC? Most of us did. Why are we here, especially these guys that flew 20 hours? There's got to be something very special about FDIC to be able to devote that amount of time and money to come to this world-class conference, and it is truly world-class. And it's worth the time. It's worth the investment in time and money. So I'm going to begin with Mike, and would you explain a little bit about what you did teach, what you've been doing the last few days, because you're kind of a unique character here that you did the hands-on training.
Absolutely. I was up here honored to be teaching rescue and squad company live fire operations. We've been here since Friday. We have to come in and we have to go out to the Wayne Township Fire Academy and prep the buildings. On Saturday, we do our pre-planning burns on Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday, we have 2 4-hour evolutions each day where we put, we had a full class this year. We had 55 students in each rotation. So we did 220 students in 2 days. We do a live burn with 3 scenarios. We have the guys go in and do VES, under live fire, searching off of a hose line, and controlling a fire with a can. And it was a hot day on Monday afternoon, so that's the reason I'm a little bit red. But great day, great opportunity to train and meet brothers and sisters from all over the country, actually from the world. We had some from outside of the country. And that's pretty much what we got to do. And it was a lot of work, but brought me back out of retirement and enjoyed it.
I had a 4-hour workshop session yesterday, operations for newly promoted and aspiring company officers. And this is part of just a segment of my department, Miami-Dade's 3-week officer development program. And I always say I teach the fun stuff, but there's a lot of officer development training that does not involve the fun stuff. It involves filling out fire reports, injury reports, citizen complaints, grievances, evaluations. There's a lot that goes into being an officer, and like I say, I get to cover the fun stuff. But it's I'm very proud of Miami-Dade's officer development program. Mike, to my right, also participated in that for many years, and it's almost daily that we get an inquiry from some department somewhere requesting our curriculum. So, Rick, you're not instructing, but what motivated you, I should say, to come all this distance to attend FDIC? And what classes are you looking forward to attending?
Well, motivated. It's my 4th time at FDIC. I like coming here just for the fact it's positive and energetic, and it's people who just want to be students of the fire service. So every time I come here, even though I've been in the job 26 years, still always learn every time I come here, learn something new. So my classes, I've done some personal leadership courses, like with Chief Greenaway yesterday, but I've met Fire Cancer Support Network, got some stuff from seeing the Tucson boys this afternoon, talk about decon on the fire ground for us. Anything to do where we can reduce our exposures, I'm thinking about and listening to. Just having a great time being looked after like kings by Captain Gustin and his family, which I really appreciate.
Well, there's a reason that we treat them like kings, is that my daughter Renee spent, 2 or 3 weeks with you, your wife, and 2 adorable little girls in Australia. So, and similar to Clark's situation, where if you're good to my daughter, my expensive daughter, if you're good to her, well, then you're in it with me. So we're really excited to have you, and then we will be working together at Miami-Dade, and we're very proud of our strides that we've made for decontamination and cancer research. In fact, I'm going to be talking a little bit about that tonight with Chief John Norman and our boss, Editor-in-Chief Bobby Halton. It's going to be a roundtable of issues that are either positively or negatively affecting the fire service, and it's pretty much a no holds bar roundtable. Unchained, I think they call it. So now we can move down to Murray and Clark.
I came along basically 2 years ago was the first time I came along following Rick. After hearing him come along a couple of times and telling me what it was all about, thought I need to come and find out for myself with him. Found it to be a great experience, particularly from a leadership point of view. There's so much to be learned from these people who've worked in leadership roles in real world environments, working in real world pressures, particularly in emergency situations. And I find that quite valuable for not only the volunteer firefighting side of things, but also from my paid employment. This time, Rick got himself in a position where he's done a whole lot of work to get this Churchill Fellowship, and he was really excited about coming across, and I thought I really can't let him go and spend a whole 7 weeks alone on his own overseas, enjoying himself on his own. I thought I'd better come and get my slice of the enjoyment, so I'll join him for the first 3 weeks. And I guess some of the classes here at FDIC that I found quite enjoyable. The first one was Robert Burns. We're talking about leadership in the real world. I guess from my point of view, having to make decisions with quite a deal of immediacy in an emergency environment is quite different to the real world in business and other practices, because you've got plenty of time to make decisions. So if he can teach me practices to make decisions in emergency situations, surely I can apply them not only to my firefighting but also to the general life. And I guess yesterday, learning from Mike Gagliano and Mike Dugan with their presentation on this Firehouse Rocks, learning what a real firehouse or a real organisation, how that organisation can function to its fullest potential, and what needs to be done to make that happen. So I guess I got a lot out of those classes, and I find it extremely valuable.
This is the third year that I'm teaching Fighting Fire in an Age of Plastics and Foams. It's a really dynamic presentation with a lot of videos. We just had a near miss in Clark County just a couple weeks ago. We had a fire in a polystyrene roof, and the fire blew over the top of the firefighters, and we almost lost an entire truck company. So I'm going to be talking about that. I have some video of that, a helmet cam video from the officer that was in the bucket. So that's real exciting, something I'm passionate about. We do have a ton of polystyrene foam products all over the Southwest, the West, the South. It's really it's one of the most abundant building materials they're using these days. And then yesterday I assisted with East Coast Rescue Solutions. They are the hands-on training instructors for forcible entry here at FDIC. I just helped them out, reset some props and things, and got an opportunity to work with them. True professionals. We had I think about 250 students in 2 days, and they sold out every class. They've been selling out classes for 10 years doing forcible entry. So again, East Coast Rescue Solutions, and that's it. So I'm pretty tired today as well.
Yeah, I taught Monday morning a 4-hour pre-conference workshop, first do tactics for the company officer. And it's what you think it would be, but we incorporate some building construction components and what that means for some of the first arriving to look at. And we also talked a little bit, not only about the first line and size up and surge, which are all critical things, but also we threw in some ways that sometimes codes and sprinkler buildings can kind of put a monkey wrench in some of your plans and limit some of your resources and capabilities, even though they're great prevention and protection things from that standpoint. It can limit some of our water supply and cause different distance challenges for us stretching lines into some of these buildings. And so we had a good morning.
Jason, Chief, we were both in the speaker ready room preparing, and I saw a snippet of your presentation. What intrigued me was the way that you didn't have a lot of room on the apparatus, so you stored your portable master stream device, single inlet 2.5 that operates usually around 400 gallons a minute. And you attached it to what looked to me like a side-by-side FDNY hose bundle, bundled together. And could you comment, I mean, what was the reason? Was there a specific incident, or is there a specific type of building like a McMansion or garages? What is that setup for?
We kind of started using a version of that with just a 2.5-inch smoothbore nozzle on that when the Ferguson riots happened. When I was a captain on a truck, because when that happened, if there was a fire in that hot zone, is what they called it, we were not allowed to make an interior attack or spend a lot of time on those scenes just because of the environment that we were in. So we had to come up with unique ways to get water on the building fast, and then to get it put back up and gotten rid of. And so as years have gone by, we found other uses where that's been most critical for us is a typical storefront strip mall. We can get up and under the roof decking from the bottom instead of the top. And also if we've got heavy body of fire on a residential building, one firefighter can pull that 50-foot bundled hose with that one-man monitor to the fire, while the second firefighter's pulling the line to the front door or to make entry to finish off from the inside. The other thing that's really helpful is short stretches, those real short setbacks that 200 reconnect with 2.5 problems.
Okay, well, you know, we've had this discussion before. What about the deck gun? Why not use the deck gun? I'm playing the devil's advocate, obviously here. Why don't you use the deck gun that's mounted up on top of a modern apparatus instead of a ground-mounted device?
because it's mounted on top of the apparatus and it's really heavy. It takes time. Even if you use it from the top of the truck, there's a margin of error where you waste a lot of water getting it to the seat of the fire. Whereas this device, this below ground monitor, we're delivering a lot of water really fast and accurately and exactly where we want it.
And I couldn't agree more. You don't flow as much as a conventional multiversal or deck gun, which goes well over 1,000 gallons a minute. But if you have a fire in a attic, a cockloft of a one-story row of stores, you're up in the nosebleed section 11 feet up and you're directing a heavy stream down on the floor. That's not where we need the water. We need the water from underneath and up into that overhead and impinge that stream off the underside of the roof. The other thing is, if you're delivering the water to where it needs to go, you're going to knock down what you can and then you're going to move it. Similarly, if you don't see an appreciable reduction in volume of fire and steam generation, there's something that is blocking you up in that attic, maybe draft stopping, and you may have to move that device. You can't move a apparatus mounted device like that. So I'm all in with that. And like I say, just a short line, just enough to get it on the ground in lieu of the apparatus mounted deck gun. So let's see, we've been around. Okay, I talked about my standpipe class. Now I want to talk about a class that I watched yesterday. It was a student in, and it was Jerry Tracy from the FDNY, and a highly experienced chief fire officer with extensive high-rise experience. And if you want to call anybody an expert, I don't think really anybody can be called an expert in high-rise firefighting. There just is not enough of them. But if there was, it would be Chief Jerry Tracy, with Jack Murphy, who is without question the most knowledgeable fire safety coordinator. He's the guru of Midtown Manhattan business high-rise fire plans, alarm systems, suppression systems, smoke systems. And in order for you to be an effective fire officer and control a fire in a high-rise building, you have to be able to control its occupants. You got to, with some type of plan, and fire wardens. Nobody knows that better than Jack. You got to control the systems, fire pumps, standpipes, sprinklers, smoke control systems. Nobody knows that better than Jack. His controls. And you got to control yourself. You got to control your firefighters. So, and I covered that today. This is when you're operating on a standpipe operation, consider you may be working with people that have never performed this evolution before. You need leadership, water, of course, teamwork, in order for that evolution to go well. So I'm looking forward later today. I'm going to be participating in that hangout tonight. And then I'm getting a little bit of an award tomorrow. So that's a little bit, it's called the old guy that's been around the longest award is what it's called. Mike, you want to add 2 cents to that there, my brother?
I think that award is, well, you being my mentor for all these years, I am completely honored to be here still to see you receive this award. Some of the classes that I'm looking forward to taking, even though I'm retired, I tell you what, my batteries got recharged coming also. I still travel around and do some teaching at conferences and some other stuff, which keeps me in the game. I'm still interested in all the modern high-rise stuff. So that's kind of one of the things that I'm looking forward to getting through the book. I've been so busy the last couple of days, I haven't had a chance to pick all the classes I want to go to. But I tend to lean towards high-rise and system stuff. And I have an affinity towards elevators too, if you haven't heard.
Yeah, and he'll tell you, don't take an elevator in China. Okay. I want to mention some of our buddies that are not here and why they're not here. Sam Hiddle, Captain Mike Dugan, and our bald-headed brother from Fairfax County, Dan Shaw. They are not here because they are teaching right at the moment. But in all three of those guys, if you ever get a chance to see any of their classes, or pick up a copy of 25 to Survive by it's Doug Mitchell from the FDNY and Dan Shaw from Fairfax County, it will be money and time well spent. What can we do for you? I'm asking you in front of tens of thousands of people here.
Just a standard day then?
Yeah, no, when you come and you visit us in Miami-Dade, what can we do to facilitate your research?
Well, for cancer exposure and reduction, I've been looking at various things, not just on-scene decontamination. I've been looking at hood exchange programs like in South Carolina, go to Charleston. I'm going to meet people in LA. But in Miami, the thing I was really keen on is the clean cabin design and how you stow and limit the exposures, not just for you and anybody else who gets in the cab. It's very interesting, and I also want to look at how it impacts our operations. Does it slow us down? Does it reduce injuries? Pretty open-minded about it. So very keen to enjoy your hospitality down there.
Right. Well, I'm going to put you up in my palatial bachelor pad, and which consists of because of my reduced marital and financial situation, consists of a beat-up station wagon that I park underneath the expressway overpass. But there'll be plenty of room for both of us.
That's better than I've got now.
Okay, yeah, well, that's good. Okay. I'm very proud of what our department has been doing.
Excellent and progressive.
Yeah.
Supported by you, Chief.
And hey, have I backed it all? There's a line, man, and I don't want to cross that line between our cleanliness, our decontamination, and interfering significantly with our operational readiness. Let's don't forget that a couple things. It's a dirty job. Okay, it's a risky job. If you are that antiseptic, maybe you should have thought about another line of work. Now, having said that, gross decontamination, when I hear that you can reduce 85% of contaminants by a simple washdown, what reasonable person would be against that? And I've got our safety chief, Bert Cantella, is on the cutting edge of this stuff. And he's like you. His life is devoted to reducing the alarming rate of cancer that we have in the Miami-Dade Fire Department. In fact, just recently, he teamed up with the University of Miami School of Dermatology. We had hundreds of people screened for skin cancer. And over the course of 3 or 4 days, if they took all the samples and biopsies and took off, you could probably make like one complete person with all that tissue. Because we had a bunch of people walking around with Band-Aids on their foreheads and noses and things like that. But, and I also think that one of our big problems is that we live in a hot tropical climate. Our pores are always open and we're soaking that stuff right in. So, you know what I think is interesting? Murray, I think you're back. You are you're a volunteer, but I want you to tell us all. By the way, you never came through with your promise. Would you tell us, share with us all, Murray, what you do for your career job when you're not on the volunteer fire department?
Oh, here we go.
Here it goes.
I'm an area manager for B&W. So
That's BMW cars.
Just translating that.
Yeah.
So my role is to look after a number of dealer teams and their dealerships and their performance, basically, and how they serve the customer better. And I guess I find there are a lot of alignment between a car dealership and also a fire brigade, in that both of them, when they're not working as teams and they don't have good leadership, they fail. So there's a lot of similarities between that and the fire service. And I think also competency is another key one. You're looking on the fire ground. I work at a station or volunteer at a very large station. Some very, very competent firefighters at that station means that work gets done, people come home safely. In a car dealership, obviously not life and death, but if they're not competent, dealership doesn't make any money, people don't work. So lot of similarities between what we do in fire service, but also in real life. So I think
There is, Murray, and the fact it's not life or death. If you screw up and you don't produce, you don't bring food home to your family. Which brings me to crew resource management. If you're a fire officer and I hire you on a department, if you surround yourself with sycophants, butt kissers, brown nosers, yes men that won't tell you what you need to hear, they tell you what you want to hear, you are setting yourself up for failure. And we discussed this yesterday in my company officer class. People, for instance, starting the partner saw in the morning, running the jaws. I'm not out there doing that. If there's a problem with that piece of equipment, I find out from the least senior member of my department. And when you're a company officer in a command mode, either investigation or quick attack, and you're trying to run your company, other companies, and overall command at the same time, there's a good chance you're going to miss something. In my case, walking into a downed electrical wire and almost getting hit by a car. So I want to hear from everybody. I don't believe in this philosophy of keep your mouth shut, but you have to have an organization where you build trust based upon mutual respect. Which leads me to Clark. You're a big believer in mentoring. And I know over the time you've mentored quite a few folks. And can you tell us a little bit about why you do it and what are the results?
I've been on the job for 21 years, and I feel I'm on the back half of my career. I don't think I'm going to do 45 years like Captain Gustin. I hope I'm still not here in 45 years. By the way, let me just say the little tiny award he's getting is the Lifetime Achievement Award from Fire Engineering. It's the most prestigious award they give at FDIC. And like Captain Posner, Captain Gustin is a great mentor of mine, and I'm very proud. I even brought my Class A out. It'll be the first time I wear my Class A where we're not burying someone. So I brought my Class A out to wear the presentation tomorrow. As far as mentoring goes, absolutely. I've been on the job 21 years, and I'm on the back half. I love my community. I love my fire department. I've been in the same community my whole life, born and raised in Las Vegas. And I want to make sure that my fire department is turned over to someone competent and capable who will continue to protect our community. So that is a primary motivating factor I have. And I tell these probationary firefighters talk about crew resource management. The day they show up in the office, I speak to them privately. I close the door and I ask the first question, how nervous are you right now? And the kid usually says, oh, at a scale of 1 to 10, like a 15, right? And I say, listen, no one is going to mess with you today. You're an adult. You're a professional firefighter. We don't clown around. We don't play grab ass, anything like that. That is not acceptable. And my whole company knows it. 11B, no one plays that game. And I want to make sure this young man gets the exact education and training that he needs. If he is too afraid to speak up, if we create an environment where every time he opens his mouth, we hammer him for it, things like that, he's not going to speak up. He's not going to ask any questions. He's not going to raise any concerns. I want to make sure that he knows he is allowed to speak up and ask questions. In fact, I tell him every single run we call, every single call we run on, you have to ask me 3 questions about that call. Every single call, all day long. Whether it's the building, whether it's the patient, whether it's the environment, whatever it is, you have to ask me questions. I encourage these young men to speak up. And that's one of the reasons, because that crew resource management. And I tell them all the time, if something's not right, you tell me something's not right. So that those are a few reasons why I really believe heavily in mentoring, and it's the future of the fire service. These young, like them or hate them, this is the future of the fire service. We're all on the table. It's going to be these kids. They're running hard.
Clark, I said this in this class today. I don't have as much contact with the recruits as I do days with them. I used them. They participated in some of our standpipe evolution videos. But anybody that criticizes a whole segment of our population that we call millennials is painting with a very broad brush, because I look at our fire recruits and they are better people at their age than I was at that same age. And their capabilities, their skills are absolutely superb. And Jason, as the chief of the department, how do you go about attracting folks? And how do you get them going through recruiting them and then moving them up the ladder so that they're qualified?
Yeah, we are really fortunate in that we have we run a lot of EMS calls where transport ALS or since we get a lot of paramedic students. And then there's a handful of us teach at the St. Louis County Fire Academy. So we get to see these candidates before they even apply. And our shop, our union shop, I got to give them a lot of credit, and our leadership at the company level and our informal leaders of our department that don't carry rank have done a phenomenal job at finding and recruiting candidates that match our culture, that match skill level, that match work ethic. And they formed their own nonprofit. It's a fluorescent firefighters community outreach program. And they do a lot of charity work and fundraising and barbecuing at the nursing homes. And they give back to wounded veterans and build ramps for them. And they're really active in our community. And so they invite these potential candidates through, it might be 2 or 3 years that they come and they invite them and they see how their engagement is in those types of activities and in department functions and all those things. They still have to score well during the testing process, but we get a really good picture of who these folks are before we ever even look at them to be hired. And I got to tell you that it starts, we as staff play a role, obviously, but it's the lower level of our department that builds that and has created that culture over a long period of time. And I think the statistic is like 18 of the last 20 people we've hired have come off of that paramedic ride-along program. And something else I'm proud of is that because of the leadership that we had before me that's built the culture is in the last 15 years, I think we've had one voluntary person leave on their own. And I put an asterisk by it because there were some special circumstances on when he came to our department and when he left. But the leadership that we have currently that really interacts with those individuals day in and day out at the crew level, at the company level, at dinner, at breakfast, on training ground, at drill. They've done a phenomenal job for us in hiring people in that regard. And then we keep it going.
I just got one for you, Bill. Then, if we don't look after our people, what do you call a people in it?
What is it?
A museum.
All right, a museum.
Yep, so we've got to look after our people.
Yep, and I agree with Clark. There's no place for hazing. There's no place for subordinating. When we get a new person on the company, whether you're an officer or not, you are a mentor, you are an instructor. We all have skin in the game, and the game is to bring this person up, bring them up, make them the best person they can. Pick on them, make fun of them, pull pranks. You could bring out the worst in a person. That may have been acceptable years ago, but this job is now too diverse, too technical. Too many things could go wrong for us to waste our precious time with pranks and jokes. I had a guy say something disrespectful to what we call our rookies, our candidates, our probies. So do you realize something? You know that recruit? Less than a year ago, that recruit was in Afghanistan getting his butt shot at in the Marine Corps. Who the hell is anybody? Everybody brings something to the table. And the folks we've gotten from the military, especially the Air Force, we have guys that come from career Air Force and are still in the reserves. Now, I've got great respect for what the Air Force does in terms of their armament, their ordnance and getting the pilots out of the ejection seats, but just their hose handling skills and ability are great. And they're all young, dedicated people. So those days are over, brothers and sisters. In fact, I can think of a few things right now that I know of that are very sad that are a result of making people feel like they're less than equal. Let's just leave it at that. And it went beyond getting fired. Now it looks like it's going to become a legal issue. Let's treat everybody like brothers and sisters. Those days, I hate it. Those days are over, brothers and sisters. I want to give another shout out to Key. That's keyhole.com. I don't talk much about their LDH because I haven't had much experience with their LDH just until recently. Very impressed with it. You know, there's a balance there. LDH is heavy. You know, LDH is not as durable as conventional hose. But from what we've seen so far, the Key LDH is excellent. And I don't know who makes the couplings for their LDH, but they just, man, they go on and come off like butter. And I'm very impressed with it. So if you remember now, Key makes a wide range of hose sizes and also grades of hose. I mean, I talk about the Key Combat Ready, but I'll be perfectly honest. You may not be, your department may not be able to afford it. There are brands, or grades, I should say, that are a little bit less expensive that Key makes that are still damn good hose. So, and again, take a look at these true diameter, true 2.5, and true, and I'm really excited about the 2.25 inch true inside diameter Key hose. If you remember, we got a choice now. It doesn't have to be just 1 3/4 or 2.5. We've got some choices. So
I got a question for you, Captain Gustin. Now,
Yes,
I know
sir.
in Miami-Dade you just replaced all of your high-rise hose. You went from 2.5 to 75-foot sections of 2-inch hose, correct?
now we went from 1 3/4.
Okay, sorry, 1 3/4 to 2-inch. Now, knowing what you know now, that this brand new product's out there, would you have considered 2.25-inch hose for your high-rise backs instead of the 2-inch?
I could, Clark, but you know what? Eventually, it's like getting married. You got to make a selection while you see what's available and pick it and stay with it. Yes, would the 2.25 inch diameter hose been a consideration? Damn straight, but it wasn't available at the time that we were evaluating. We have what we have now. We're really happy with it, you know, and I give that advice to you married guys. What do you say? Dan, the one that rung you?
Are we even talking about hose anymore? Or just
No, I use an analogy about
Hey, while we're on the air, next week, 25 years.
25 years. Yeah.
So Kathy, you're not going to watch it, but hey, I'm giving you props.
And it feels like 25 minutes. All under the water, doesn't it?
And God, if you're an instructor and you go to another department, you're not there to try to show them what hose you use. Let's show them how to do the best job they can with what they have to work with. So yes, that was a legitimate question. I think that my analogy was quite appropriate. Eventually, you just got to make up your mind that this is what we got right now. The search is over. Now let's improve what we got.
But what happens if that hose down the road puts on a lot of weight and just starts nagging constantly? It's a terrible hose and doesn't respect you as a hose anymore.
Well, you know, let's talk about NFPA 1961. What's the shelf life on hose? You know how much we can get in here. What's the shelf life?
Good point. Good point.
It depends on the kind of hose it is.
Okay, that's right.
One stuff's got like a 4-year warranty.
Yeah.
The other stuff's got a 10-year warranty.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, you know, and that's why you don't go cheap on hose, man, because you're going to get a longer warranty. So, yes, Clark, seriously, we would have taken a hard look at that. We would have taken a hard look at it. And for those of you that are in a position where you can look at different types of hose, take a look at those true IDs. Hey, and there's other manufacturers that make it besides Key. I endorse Key because I work with it and I know the people behind it. I'm going to name one of them right now, Dave Hibben. Dave Hibben came from, I believe, Engine 10 in DC. That guy's seen more fire by accident than anybody here in this room will ever see. Okay, what he brings to the table in terms of design and development for key hose is phenomenal, and he's a true gentleman. Rick, if I could, where are you going after you leave Miami-Dade? Where are your travels into?
So if I start from Indy, I go from Indy to Boston. So I'm meeting NFPA and some people in Boston. I go down to Charleston, South Carolina, see Deputy Chief Cruising and their hood exchange program. I see you. I'm going to go back to LA. After an LA Centre Fire Cancer Support Network and Phil Ambrose and a couple of good operators out there. And then I get on my little high horse and head to Paris, Brussels, Holland, and finish in Sweden. And back home through Abu Dhabi, through Dubai, which is 7 weeks, world tour. Yeah, pretty happy to go home, I think. But it's hard work. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah. Well, you won't be disappointed with Miami-Dade, and God knows Boston. And I know things are catching on because I watched them operating at a fire the other day, and they're operating outside a fire building in smoke. And I know years ago they wouldn't have a mask on. They had their mask on.
Yeah, there's been a big push.
And man, they have been afflicted with a lot of cancer, but they're trying to take action. So, obviously you did your homework is who you're gonna visit. All right, well, Mike,
Yes, sir.
do you want to tell us a little bit about what else you're going to take a look at while we're here at FDIC?
Well, I'm looking forward to Thursday. That's one of the reasons we come in on Friday and I stay till Friday or Saturday just so that I can see the show open. Again, I still get to travel around and meet guys from other fire departments, and where I'm currently living in Tennessee now, I'm actually doing some training with the Johnson City Fire Department, and they were unable to send anybody up here to FDIC. So I'm actually looking forward to looking at some of the new things and the new technology when the show opens on Thursday, so that I can start bringing some of those new things to some of the departments that don't have the ability to send guys up here, or where there's guys that can't afford to come up for whatever the reason may be. So I'm looking forward to that. Love going to the show on Thursday.
And that brings up a good point. If you're coming up here with a group, or if you're here right now and you're watching this at FDIC, if you're coming up with a group, don't you all take the same class, man. Don't all take the same class. Everybody take a different class, and then at the end of the day, when there are beverages being imbibed upon, which is nothing wrong with that. Pardon me? Oh, local economy, yes. Yeah. In fact, they have an indigenous beer here that is made somewhere in Indiana that is just absolutely just wonderful. If you happen to be a beer drinker, which I happen to be a beer drinker. I think everybody in this room is a beer drinker. But couple things. You have something to say about beer?
Yes, I have something to say about beer. No, in Clark County, we just started up our technical rescue program again. And FDIC this year, I was looking at the manual. We have quite a few really high quality technical rescue courses. There's trench rescue courses, man versus machinery. There's too many to take. And so I have a guy from my company here, Derek Sutherland's with me here at FDIC, and we decided to take different courses. We're trying to cover all of these technical rescue courses. There's a swift water course. This morning I took a large truck extrication from Chief White, Battalion Chief White. Fantastic. Large vehicle extrication. He did a fantastic job. I wish I'd taken his hands-on course that complements this. But and there's swift water, electric vehicle courses. There's a ton of technical rescue courses here at FDIC that we're going to try to go to most of those.
Yeah, you're good. Little bit of advice for first timers, whether it's this year or next year, whenever. Again, don't all go to the same class. The other thing is, we're joking about beer and having a good time, and the nightlife is a nice thing. But do not allow your nightlife to interfere with the reason why you are here. Either you spent money and devoted time, or somebody did. You got a mission. Don't forget what your job is, and that's the fire department. Yes, sir.
Having taught the hot classes for numerous years here, every single Tuesday morning, we get the guys that went out and thought that they could have a little adult entertainment prior to training. Every year we have an ambulance come pick somebody or multiple people up. Don't do that. You guys are spending good money to come here and learn from excellent instructors. Make sure you get to the sites in tip-top condition and you hydrate yourself. We see it every year. Guys getting injured or transported off the scene because they got dehydrated or worse. So like Captain G said, make sure you are ready for your classes and don't blow your opportunity when you come here.
Clark,
Especially on that, Captain Foster, especially hands-on classes.
Yeah.
I mean, every hands-on class, they get after it. So if you want to take hands-on classes and you want to put your hands on tools and you want to break stuff and you want to fight fire, this is the place for it. All right. And if you think that you're going to take a hands-on class, you're going to sit in the back with your hands in your pocket and you can show up a little hungover, you're wrong. You're wrong. We worked so hard yesterday. Every single student we had at for forcible entry, every single student we had forced at least 25 doors and used circ saws, broke locks, everything like that. It was hands-on tools the whole entire day. So yeah, don't show up with a hangover because you will suffer.
speaking of technical rescue, I don't know if I've had a chance to discuss with you. We had a lady drive through the guardrail cables in a parking garage and dangle on the precipice. And right on the ledge.
Seems like something they have in Las Vegas.
And the first arriving company was a ladder company. It wasn't a technical rescue company, but the captain is he's a guru in hazardous materials and technical rescue. And on his own, he equipped his rig, ladder 17, with chains and ratchet straps. So before the technical rescue company got on the scene, they had that car secured. And then we brought in our heavy rotating wrecker to support it. I think they ran the chain through the underneath, through one window and then the outside, the other side. But we had that lady secured, and pretty good footage that we'll probably be sharing on Fire Engineering's webpage. But just recently, brothers, we have been getting the most unusual and unfortunately some really tragic incidents when it comes to technical rescue. I think we got the pictures.
Hey, Captain Gustin,
Yeah.
you said your captain of Truck 17 equipped his own rig with ratchet straps and chains.
Yeah.
Is that a common practice? Are you allowed to do that? Because I'll tell you what, in Clark County, absolutely not do we put anything on the rig that's not authorized.
It's allowed. It's allowed. And you know something? I got to be careful. Sometimes it's better just don't ask permission. Now this guy, he's actually coming into the training bureau. He's a dear friend of mine. His name is Enrique Pereira, and he's the smartest guy in the room. He teaches for the International, IAFF, in hazardous materials. And wherever he goes, he makes everybody Cuban coffee. And he is like our national ambassador of goodwill for the Miami-Dade Fire Department. Yeah, he's a great guy. We have a lot of respect for him. Yeah, I can understand that, you know, when you put a piece of equipment on an apparatus, if that thing was to fail, yeah, we understand that. But there's just some things that are not going to fail. They're just not going to fail. And he's smart enough to know how to deploy it.
He's a technical rescue guy.
Yeah, it is a technical rescue guy, and he has a degree in engineering. Now, it does beg the question, Clark. To what extent does he allow the other shifts to use those tools? You know, that is, but you know, that's a topic for another session where we could talk about, well, what does your department allow? It's like my department, it's how, in yours too, how diverse it is from very, very rural, no hydrants, to canyons of high rise. How can you standardize the inventory on those kind of rigs? And we're starting to find out that you really can't. So, but that is a valid point, and I understand why your department would take that stance. And you better be careful if you do put equipment on your apparatus. You better find out what your department's policy is.
And not just, I wouldn't just worry about the equipment failing, because I'm sure he knows exactly what he's buying. He's probably buying the same exact ratchet straps that they have on the technical rescue team, correct? But it's the level of training and education on the ships. Right?
Correct. Yeah. And like I say, this guy goes around the country teaching it. So to what extent as captain of that company, I don't know, but that is a very valid question. And I will have an answer for you by next month. Let's talk about next month. What we're trying to do is a military themed hangout with folks from military installations. And I don't know if I'll be here. I'm going to be traveling, but this Google Hangout goes on without any of us. And as I've told all you guys before, we can't make it every month. Don't sweat it. If you can't make it, you can't make it. Chief, I know that since you've been promoted, you've got a lot of responsibility, and there's sometimes you don't make it, you don't make it. No worries. And none of us can make it every month. We're looking at about the last 10 minutes. So I'd like to do a little roundtable. And what we're going to do here, we're going to bring over this guy here. We're going to bring this guy over here. In The Wizard of Oz, when they say, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Well, this is the man behind the curtain. This is the man behind the curtain. And believe me, he has helped us, all of us, with our webcasts, with the Google Hangout. And one of his greatest qualities is he's used to dealing with this equipment in this medium. But no matter what, when we lose connectivity and we lose a phone, for instance, on a webcast, this guy has a reservoir in his veins, and he just calms everybody down, makes everybody feel comfortable. You are the online running.
Yeah, something like that.
No,
Online cap, yeah, that online editor.
Yeah.
So
For fire engineering.
thank you guys. You guys make this show, and you know what? For the little part that we play, one of the best feelings is coming here and just seeing what you guys do. And man, that validates what we do. So shout out to Bill Carey and Joe T, Joe T, who run the backboard. But it makes you guys are the best. So
Yeah, we were given it fire engineering, and it's nothing. I'm always thanking the good Lord for it. Any final closing thoughts as we go around the table? Start with my friend here, Rick.
thanks, Bill. I'd just like to thank the opportunity to have a talk. I'm here on a Churchill Fellowship, which is an international study tour where the foundation gives me some money to learn and bring things back to benefit us. So I'd just like the opportunity to get the message out to everybody, and everyone stay safe and has a good time.
Well, we're loving to have you. And again, thank you. Thank your wife and your little girls for accommodating my daughter and being such wonderful hosts. How about Clark and Murray?
I'd just like to say that this attending FDIC is a real opportunity to improve yourself as a person, and not only that, improve the organisation you work for. So I thoroughly recommend making the effort. It is a bit of an effort if you're a fair few hours flying time away, but look, you'll definitely be rewarded by attending. So.
About that BMW, we still haven't. You were kind of vague about.
What color? What color are you going to buy the captain?
The red one or the blue one?
Red or blue, Captain?
That's right. Okay. Clark,
I think my personal opinion, there are a lot of conferences across the country, and there's more popping up every year. It seems like there's conferences. I believe that every single American firefighter needs to come to FDIC at least once in their career. Absolutely. It is that important to your career, and it is important to see how this operates. It is a fantastic show. It's the best in the country. It's the best in the country, and that would be my recommendation. And every person I work with and work for, I tell them the exact same information. That's it.
Yeah, it's just a pleasure, and it's always so overwhelming to come here. The amount of talent and knowledge that's here, not only instructors, but the people walking the halls. If you're coming to FDIC, whether you've been here once or 10 times, take advantage of the opportunities and the knowledge that are here, and don't just take the things that you like, take the things that your department needs, takes to reevaluate what you need to relearn or learn that's new, and make sure you take away something new that you didn't know before, not just the ones that you've taken over and over because you like the instructor. Try to find something new that's really going to challenge you and help you really evaluate what you need to learn different.
And Chief, you brought up an excellent point. Take the dry stuff. Don't take just the fun stuff. Take the dry stuff. If you're going to be an effective fire officer, it's not all strategy and tactics. There's a lot more. The leadership is very important. Hazardous materials. There's a lot of things that are not sexy. You don't see a lot of great video, but it's necessary to be a good, well-rounded fire officer and firefighter. Like this guy right here.
I wanted to second what Captain Lamping said. This should be on every firefighter's bucket list to get to FDIC. I have been honored to be part of the FDIC family for many years. I can't cover too much more that these guys haven't. When you get here, be prepared to have your mind blown. You're going to see some of the most amazing instructors that you have ever seen. And every one of them, which is amazing, is so humble and willing to share information with you. And that's one of the things I always said when I used to come up here. I would never tell guys that I was going to FDIC to teach. I always told guys I'm going up to share information with the Brotherhood. Because nobody knows it all. Nobody knows the best way to do anything. Come up here, meet people, learn as much as you can, share stories. Then in the evening, when you go to your dinners and your adult beverage time, pick people's brains. It's just a constant thing for a week of just firemen who have the same passion for the job. You've all heard, I think everybody in this room has already said, I've come up here to recharge my battery. I never understood that till the first time I came here, but being around 36,000 like-minded people is absolutely one of the most amazing things you can ever encounter. So if you haven't been, you need to get here. And if you've been here, I know you know what I'm talking about. Stay safe, guys.
Well, we're going to wrap up another session. And my gosh, I want to thank all of you. We all have busy schedules. And to have a kind of an ad hoc type of extemporaneous, we didn't know how this was going to go. I think it went pretty well, you know, and you all bring so much to the table, and I'm humbled to be able to work with you guys. And it's humbling to be at FDIC, to be a part of something that is bigger than yourself. So thanks to Key Hose for making this possible. Again, that's an easy endorsement for me because I have my hands on it every day as manager of the 2-inch hose project for my department. But make it take. You got a shout out.
A big shout out to my good friend, the division chief of training back at Miami-Dade Fire, who is on his way up here for. There's some celebration tomorrow. I don't know, but to the good chief Nick Morgado. This one's for you, baby. Don't ever forget that the plate on the elevator is called an escutcheon plate. Okay.
And don't ride an elevator in China. All right, you fellas. Okay, wait a minute. I think we're going to mention something. I have a roundtable discussion with 2 people that I greatly admire, Chief John Norman and Chief Bobby Halton this evening, and I believe that's at 5:15, I believe. We're checking. 5:30.
Yeah.
If you say it's 5:30, it's 5:30. All right. Okay. 5:30. All right. Hey, for everybody that's watching, everybody here at FDIC, it's been a wonderful hour. May God bless you and keep you safe in our most noble of professions. Till next month.